Homemade cream cheese. Let's take this out of the way. You know, we don't need any of that. We do need this. And this can be scooched out of the way. And a pot. A pot would be good too. Like this. Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today, I'm going to be attempting to make homemade cream cheese. I did not even know that you could make homemade cream cheese, but as many of you might know, here in the US, we have a bit of a cream cheese shortage. Apparently, there was a cyber attack to the largest cheese manufacturer in the country back in October, and also with labor shortages and supply chain shortages, we have ourselves in a cream cheese shortage. Apparently, Kraft, the makers of Philadelphia cream cheese, was offering $20 to people to find an alternative to using cream cheese around the holidays. So my immediate thought was, can you make homemade cream cheese? And you can, which I had no idea that you could. And my biggest question is, will it taste like Philadelphia cream cheese, which is delicious and scrumptious? So I'm going to be doing a little taste comparison, comparing homemade to the Philadelphia cream cheese. I have this little packet because, again, friends, there is a shortage, but I did manage to find one of these in my refrigerator. So I can do a little side-by-side comparison of homemade to the store-bought. Oftentimes, homemade, although delicious, isn't quite up to snuff to the original because we are used to the original, but we won't know till we actually make it. So today's recipe is going to be based on a couple of recipes I found. I will put links down below to both of them. Gemma over at Bigger Bolder Baking has a recipe, as does Rafika over at Rafika's Kitchen, and I'll put links down below to both of their videos. I'm going to be kind of blending their techniques together to get whipped homemade cream cheese. And it looks very, very simple. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is heat up some milk. So I'm going to, on medium-high heat, heat up 4 cups of milk. That's about 1 liter of whole milk. We want all that yummy fat. We are making cream cheese after all, and we're going to bring this up to a boil. We also need some kind of acid. I've got about a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, a few tablespoons worth, and we're going to add this once this heats up. You can also use white vinegar. Rafika says that sometimes leaves a little bit of a flavor, so she recommends lemon juice, or you can even use yogurt. I also found a recipe, Chef John has one, on how to make cream cheese from yogurt as well, but that is a much longer process. It's very simple. You basically strain the yogurt, but it takes many, many hours, if not days, for that water to drip out to get something that has the consistency of cream cheese. But this one, on the other hand, is quite fast. So we're just gonna bring this up to a boil. So I have made cheese in the past using this method of just lemon juice and milk and strained it briefly, but I didn't whip it into a cream cheese, and it was called in that recipe a farmer's cheese. But by whipping it up nice and smooth and spreadable, it becomes cream cheese, which sounds lovely, right? We're gonna have all that fresh flavor of the milk, a little bit of tang from the acidity acid that we're adding here. I've also made mozzarella cheese. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link to that one down below. Cheese making is quite fun because you get to see this whole transformation of something from a liquid to a solid. So what happens is when we're adding the acid to the milk, we are denaturing the proteins in the milk, and they kind of all crumble and stick together into curds, and that's what we're collecting for the cheese. The remaining part, the liquid, is called the whey, and it was used traditionally to feed farm animals. You can drink it. You can also use it, Rafika says, as a fertilizer in your garden. You can also make soups with it, so it doesn't have to be thrown away. So I will be back once this comes up to a boil. The milk has come to a boil, And Gemma says that we want this to be at a rolling boil. Okay, there we are. And we're going to add our lemon juice, 1 tablespoon at a time, in about 1 minute intervals. So stir this gently, and already the proteins are denaturing and we're getting some coagulation. Love that word. And we're getting some chunks here, some curds. Now, when we've completely curdled the milk, the whey will be nice and clear and have kind of a yellow tinge to it. I'm going to switch to a slotted spoon, and there you can see already we are getting curds. Look how beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to strain these curds into my cheesecloth. It smells so good. It smells like fresh milk. And 4 cups of milk makes about 1 cup of cream cheese. Isn't that beautiful? It almost looks like cauliflower or something. Okay. So while this is hot, we're going to season it with some salt. A couple really good pinches. Now we're going to turn it into cream cheese by blending it in the food processor to get it nice and smooth. So Rafika recommends doing this while the cheese is hot. She says it gets it really smooth. So that's what I'm going to do. So now we're going to blend this up, and we're going to stop periodically to scrape down the sides, and we're going to do this for about 3 or 4 minutes until everything is nice and smooth and creamy. And that's it. Our cream chilies is finished. Alrighty, here we go. Now we're going to add about 1 tablespoon of butter for a little bit of added richness. Continue buzzing away. Alrighty, cream cheese is finished. Let me grab my bagel. Okay, I've got my bagel, and let me show you the texture of the cream cheese. Now, I definitely recommend doing the full 4 minutes, if not 5 minutes, whatever it takes to get this really, really smooth. Otherwise, your cream cheese will be a little bit grainy. So, here is the resulting cream cheese. It's all whipped. It's not even on the blade anymore. And look at that. It's warm still. And let me show you this gorgeous texture. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Super smooth, super rich. Look at that. Focus. Smooth and rich. Gorgeous. Let me put this into a bowl. It looks great. So Gemma mentioned in her video that many people in different parts of the world cannot find cream cheese, and that was her reason for researching cream cheese recipes. Here in the US, it is very ubiquitous. You can find it everywhere except when there's a shortage. So it's really great to hear and to learn about the types of food that can be found all over the world, and ones that we may take for granted, like cream cheese. And when I added the salt, I forgot to mention how much. I added a full 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That looks phenomenal. So I have an everything bagel here, but I'm just using the bottom portion. I don't want to be influenced by any of the toppings on top. And we're going to do a little side-by-side comparison of our homemade cream cheese versus the standard Philadelphia cream cheese. Now, it's worth noting what the ingredients are in this. Milk, cream, whey protein, concentrate, whey, salt, carob bean gum, natamycin, which is a natural mold inhibitor, vitamin A palmitate, and cheese culture. So, not too many ingredients, but we just have milk, a little bit of butter, lemon juice, and salt. So, natural mold inhibitor. Alrighty, so we're going to cut our bagel in half. Toasted nice and crisp. 1/2, we're going to do the Philadelphia. Right here. Ooh, look at this. Right there. Philadelphia. I'm going to spread that out a little bit. Lovely. And on this half, we're going to do homemade. Now, I whipped this for a full 5 minutes, and it does seem a little bit grainy side by side to the Philadelphia. So whip it even longer. I imagine that has something to do with the volume or the amount of cheese that I was whipping. Imagine if you have more to whip, you have more contact with the blade. So if this recipe was doubled, I think this would probably go smoother, because I whipped this for a full 5 minutes. And while it is smooth, it is not as smooth as the original or the store-bought. There's store-bought, and there is our homemade. See that? A little bit of a grain to it. Alrighty, so let's taste the original first. Here we go. Itadakimasu. I love bagels and cream cheese. The chewy texture of a bagel, the crisp exterior, and of course you've got that rich, creamy cream cheese that has a nice tang to it. Let's try some by itself. Rich and smooth, very nice mouthfeel. Definitely has a tang to it, but not so tangy as like yogurt. And it's got some salt in it, but not overly salted at all. Delicious. So good. Now, let's try the homemade. Here we go. That's delicious as well. A little bit different. This one tastes more like milk. You've got a really lovely fresh milk flavor. And it does not have quite the amount of acidity as the original. It's missing kind of that tanginess that I associate with cream cheese, even though we put lemon juice in this, which I find very interesting. I like it though. It's very rich and milky. It tastes like cheese curds, that milky flavor. But as I said, not as tangy. Perhaps if this was made with vinegar rather than lemon juice, it would have more of a pronounced tanginess to it. It's also not as salty, which can be easily remedied by adding more salt if you like. But if you're making a dessert, that would be probably less important. But if you're having it on a bagel like this, maybe a little bit more salt would be in order. But absolutely delicious. Consistency is a little bit grainy as opposed to the original, but all in all, quite delicious. It doesn't taste exactly like the Philadelphia cream cheese. This has that signature tangy, cheesy flavor that I associate with cream cheese, while this is much more like a dairied fresh milk product. Which is absolutely delicious in its own right, and I think would make a great substitution in a recipe, but it's not quite like what I consider the OG. Still very good. Also, I've noticed as this cools down, it has a much thicker consistency. See that? It's cooled down, it's much thicker and very, very similar to the texture of cream cheese. Just slightly grainy if we do a side-by-side comparison. But delicious and fresh and homemade. So if you find yourself in the situation where you can't find any cream cheese, why not try making it yourself? It's super easy, it's fast, it's quite tasty, and I think it would be perfect in any recipe that would call for cream cheese. All right, my lovelies, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Check out my website. I will include a printable version of this recipe along with instructions. And like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Alrighty, it's time to toast the other half of my bagel. Oh.